And let's cross straight now to Rosarito, Mexico, where we're joined exclusively by the Duchess of Sussex's father, Thomas Markle, who is yet again at the centre of headlines all over the world today. Thomas, great to speak to you. Your relationship with Meghan, once again, is all anyone seems to be talking about. What do you make of this?
Well, which part are we talking about now? So, finally, the truth is coming out. A lot of the truth is coming out, and thank God for Jason Knopf. I mean, I'll be happy to bring him over here and take him to Sizzler, and we'll enjoy a steak and a nice little dinner together. He's certainly putting things in the right perspective.
Well, yes, and so let's break it down, Thomas. So Jason Knopf, he was your daughter's director of communications, worked very closely with her at the time, and now as a result of this court case is dropping a whole load of truth bombs, which actually suggests that Meghan wasn't entirely honest in the statement that she made previously to the court. Were you surprised by that? Do you believe that your daughter was just forgetful, or do you think this was a deliberate attempt to mislead the court?
I really can't speak too much about this, but I think that she was trying to deceive. I think she was telling lies. But I can't really speak about this particular thing too much. So,
and I understand that there are a couple of issues, Thomas, that I wanted to discuss, speaking generally. And the first is that Meghan seems very happy to slag off and to offer up some quite negative information about your two other children, Thomas Markle Jr. and Samantha. Were you disappointed by that?
I was very disappointed by it. Actually, that's sort of what pushed us all apart. Meghan wanted me to stop talking to both my older children, both Samantha and Tom, and I can't do that. They're my children. I love all my children. Even when they're not performing well, and even when they're bad, I still love them. And she wasn't making any effort to reach out and try to be friendly. My daughter Samantha reached out to her and just got a phone hook hung up on her. So, yeah, that was very disappointing.
And the information that she provided about Sam, who is someone who I've got to know, and I think she's a good person, was particularly nasty. Is Meghan correct when she says that she had no real relationship with Samantha or Thomas Markle Jr.? Because, for example, she did attend Samantha's graduation.
That's right. But even before that, when she was growing up, Samantha would be carrying her around, would be taking her to the duck park, would be taking her for ice cream. She had a relationship with both Tom and Samantha, and she can't deny it. There are photographs of it. You can see the photographs of them together. So for her to, I mean, they drifted apart after Meghan became about 10 or 11 because they had left and gone to other states for jobs and so forth. So they drifted apart a bit there, but there was no real hostility at that point. So the fact that she wanted me to stop talking to them because they were saying things about her, something like I said, they're in their 50s. I can't control anyone in their 50s. I certainly can't control my kids in their 50s because they're telling me what to do in their 50s. They tell me now what to do.
Indeed they do. Thomas, were you aware before yesterday that senior royal aides had encouraged Meghan to travel to Mexico to visit you but she actually turned down the opportunity because she said that she worried it would become a media frenzy.
What I can say about that, and I don't want to go too far with this, is I can say thank God for Jason Knopf. And I think him coming forward tells a lot of the story. No one did help me down here at all, and I had a rough time for for at least a year and a half. I had a really rough time, and very disappointed that they did that. So.
That she says she doesn't know about the town where you live. She's never been to your house. It seems like it would have been a great opportunity for her to come and get to know where her dad's living, and also maybe bring the bloke who she's going to end up marrying.
And I invited them down several times, and if you could see, I don't know if you ever saw this, but there's a beautiful ocean outside my window here, and I'm right on the ocean. It's a beautiful house. It's very comfortable. The people are wonderful down here, and it's a perfect place to live. And I invited them to come down several times, and I'm very disappointed that Harry, wanting to marry my daughter, wouldn't have had the good sense to come down here and ask for her hand. I mean, someone who is royalty, I would think, would want to go by the book and do things properly, but apparently it didn't matter to him. So that was a disappointment as well.
Thomas, she described you as reclusive. Is that fair?
No, I am somewhat reclusive, but not totally. I mean, I value my privacy at times, but I certainly like to be involved with my family. I worked 50 years in a studio surrounded by people, so it's sort of a time in my life where I don't want to be surrounded by quite as many people, that's all. But I certainly always want my family, especially now. The older I get, the more I need my family. So I'm not that reclusive that I didn't want her here, or Harry for that matter.
Do you know the saddest thing for me, Thomas, reading through everything that has emerged, is that Meghan does admit that she actually had a great relationship with you up until the moment that she met Prince Harry.
That's exactly what I say. I say the exact same thing. I don't know. I don't know whether Harry had an effect on her or what caused this to happen. But it became, a separation. Suddenly, I became ghosted. That's a British word I'm learning now, ghosted. But everybody, it's not just me. Everybody in the family, both sides of the family, have been ghosted by her now. Now I don't know. Obviously, she must have told Harry something, and was trying to make sure that none of us would change the story. I don't know what other reason she'd have. If she's ashamed of us, she's foolish, because we're all fairly successful. We've all succeeded in our.
You're an Emmy winner.
Yeah, and that's something I'm proud of course.
You should be. Of course you should.
I'd like to have a few more.
Thomas, when you received the letter from Meghan and it was addressed to you as Daddy, were you suspicious? Because we now know that Meghan purposefully referred to you as that because she suspected the letter would find its way into the media.
All I can say about that is she's always called me Daddy, and I really can't pursue that too much further than that.
I understand that.
I'm sure you understand.
Of course I do. The Sun newspaper, Thomas, today has reported that it was the Queen who actually recommended that Meghan write the letter to you. And this was in a conversation when Meghan and Harry were staying at the home of Prince Charles. I just wonder, I know you can't talk about the court case, but I just wonder, Thomas, if you just wish that the Queen or Prince Charles had reached out to you to try and sort this out, rather than suggest that Meghan write the letter?
I have the greatest respect for the Queen and for the royal family, especially the Queen, and I don't think she would ever recommend anyone to write a letter like I received. Yes, it would be wonderful if they wanted to reach out to me, but I'm sure she didn't encourage Meghan to write a letter like that. Here again, I have to back off and say I can't say too much more about that.
I understand that. Thomas, I want you to react to a couple of pieces of footage from Meghan and Harry over the past 48 hours. Some suggestion that they've been on this publicity drive to deflect from the revelations in court. But have a look at why your daughter described why it was so important to her to pursue this action.
I won the case, and this issue, frankly, has been going on when I had no children at all. Melody, I now have 2 children, as you know, so it's an arduous process. But again, it's just me standing up for what's right, which I think is important across the board, be it in this case or in the other things we've been talking about today. At a certain point, no matter how difficult it is, if you know the difference between right and wrong, you must stand up for what's right, and that's what I'm doing.
Your reaction, Thomas?
Well, what is she standing up for? I'm missing a point here. I don't know what she's standing up for. And the other thing is that she wrote a letter to me. I own that letter. Here again, this is an area I don't know whether I should be talking about or not. But I understand that the letter wasn't a private one. So.
Now, no, Thomas, of course, that she had spoken to Jason Knauf about the drafting of the letter. He was involved, and that she expected the letter to go public. So, as you say, thank goodness for this witness statement from Jason Knauf to clear that up.
Exactly. I had no idea that all of this would happen around that, but apparently it has, and I just have to be cautious about what I say about this.
Let me ask you about Finding Freedom, which was that awful hagiography by this weird little man called Omid Scobie, who seems to be a little bit obsessed with your daughter, Thomas. Did you know that Meghan had briefed Jason Knauf to include information in that book, despite denials from both her and Scobie that they were in cahoots together?
I was sure that she had a lot to do with that book, that it wasn't just Jason Scobie or Scobie. Actually, I prefer calling him Scobie.
Yeah, that's more. But let's go with that.
I hope to God he's not writing the book for Harry. And I hope Harry doesn't write the book. As a matter of fact, I think he's a fool if he's writing a book.
Are you worried about what he might say about you in the book, Thomas?
No, anybody can say anything they want about me. I am who I am. I'm never going to change. I'm going to be the way I am. If Harry, I'm worried that Harry is going to harm his family. You have to understand, the way I feel right now is that Harry and Meghan have harmed so many people, and so many. They've harmed the entire royal family. They've harmed my family. They've harmed Doria's family. They've harmed the English people. They've gone out of their way to harm people. It makes no sense. I don't know what they do or what they're doing. They seem to keep to themselves where they're living now, and they must have the worst PR team in the world.
That's for sure. Well, I think they do it themselves, don't they? They don't listen to advice, Thomas.
Well, well, the other thing is like Oprah Winfrey. They made Oprah Winfrey look like a fool. They lied to her about 13 times.
Yeah, but she didn't press them. She didn't
on.
press them. And it's a journalist's job to seek the truth. And she didn't try and seek the truth. She accepted the propaganda.
I agree. I totally agree with that. I think she sat there quietly and nodded her head approvingly. It was crazy.
Thomas, I want you to react to a couple of comments from Prince Harry over the past 24 hours as well. He's claimed that the term Megxit is misogynist. Have a look at this and I'll get you to react off the back.
More than 70% of the hate speech about my wife on Twitter could be traced to fewer than 50 accounts. Perhaps the most troubling part of this is the number of British journalists interacting with and amplifying the hate and the lies. The term Megxit was or is a misogynistic term. And it was created by a troll, amplified by royal correspondents, and it grew and grew and grew onto mainstream media.
Thomas, do you think there's anything sexist about the term Megxit?
No, I do not. And here again, I defer to Harry's ignorance, and I mean, I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he was dropped on his head as a baby or something. But the bottom line is everything he comes out of his mouth is always kind of stupid. So here I go. That gets me in trouble with them, of course, but it's true. He rides a bicycle. He rides a bicycle around where he lives every day. I understand they're going to take the training wheels off soon. So.
Well, he does need to grow up, because if he was mature at all, he would have spoken to you long ago, like any grown man. I also wanted to play you this clip where Harry predicts that he actually was aware of the so-called insurrection at the US Capitol on the 6th of January, Thomas. What did you make of that?
I saw that. I thought it was a joke. And the idea that he called and warned them that that was going to happen is ridiculous. The idea that they're both writing letters to the government, first of all, royals aren't supposed to do that. So they have to decide if there's going to be royals or stop being royals. But
yes, because of course your daughter, Thomas, is also communicating with US senators, introducing herself as the Duchess of Sussex and campaigning for paid parental leave. What did you make of that?
Well, I think it's ridiculous for her to be doing that, and you know, I'm certainly in favor of the paid parental leave, but I think she should be, if she's really interested in doing that, she should be out making speeches rather on her own and going and trying to help families do that. Maybe until it happens where they get enough money to take care of kids. Why doesn't her charity help some of these families, rather than her talking about demanding the government to do it right away? It's going to take the government a while to do it. So, where's Archwell? Where's the money from their charities going? So far, their charities haven't done anything.
No.
So
they seem to be paying for a very expensive mansion in Santa Barbara, I think. Thomas, I guess the most important point over the past 24 hours is that the public has learned something that the Queen knows, because she's, of course, said recollections may vary when talking about Meghan and Harry's Oprah interview, something that I've known for many years in my reporting on your daughter. Harry and Meghan don't seem to tell the truth. Does your daughter have the capacity to lie?
Well, never quite as much as she is now, or has been now. Every day there's a new lie. It's become a joke. It's turning into a joke among all the papers. Well, you know as well as I do. You see it in the papers every day. She tells some new lie. I mean, it started with the Archbishop. Yeah. She telling Oprah that she got married 3 days before by the Archbishop. it started there, and God knows what she tells Harry about. And I think the other thing is that ridiculous story about when we were leaving, when I take her to dinner or take her to lunch, that we had to rub our pennies together to get a full meal. That's crazy.
Yeah, you were a very successful Hollywood lighting dude. Thomas,
yeah, no, I mean, go ahead.
Thomas, my final question to you: do you think Meghan may have committed perjury with the statements that she made?
Well, this is a legalese question you're asking me, and
yeah.
I don't know that I'm capable of answering a legalese question. It might be perjury in the United States. I have no idea, but I don't think there's any courtroom in the world where you're allowed to lie.
No.
So that's about all I can say about that.
Well, look, Thomas, I think you're a great man. As I've said many times before, you've told the truth through this whole thing. You've admitted when you made a mistake. And I think given how charitable Meghan and Harry say that they are, why on earth would you not forgive the man who brought you into the world, who paid for your education, who raised you? I will never understand it, Thomas.
From your lips to God's ears, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
We'll speak again very soon. Thomas Markle, live from Mexico. Thank you so much. Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows, and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.